Hi everyone. I know this isn't part of your performance task, but we were originally scheduled to do chicken fabrication when we got back from spring break. So I thought, if anything, you could at least see me demoing chicken fabrication, because then you'll, I don't know, have at least an idea of what I was going to teach you, and you could try to practice at home if you want. So whole chicken here. I have a bin set up for all the good parts, and then I have a scraps bin for the fat and the stuff that we're not gonna use. So you wanna make sure you set up like that. You would ideally wanna use a boning knife. This is a fillet knife. It's not the same. A boning knife kind of has a little upward slope at the end, and it's flexible like a fillet knife. So you wanna try to use a knife that has a little bend. That'll help you to kind of like get around the joints and kind of have a little more control over where you're cutting the chicken. The boning knife is the best because that tip does kind of allow you to really get around and through, but a fillet knife is the next best thing. I'm at my parents' house. They don't have a boning knife, but they do have a fillet knife. You can use a chef's knife, that's fine. Just make sure it's super sharp, okay? So when you're looking at your chicken, right, this is the head. Like the neck would stem from here. So this is right there. That is the neck that's been cut. This is a little chicken butt. It's little tail feathers right there. This is the chicken breast, right? So this is kind of how you would be like, okay, I'm understanding where my chicken is at now. So head would be here. So, but the way we want to start is we want to start with the breast facing up, okay? And kind of we want to trim away the appendages so that it's just the carcass. So the best way to do that is to first loosen, so trim through this fat or the skin here to separate the wing from the body, right? So see how it's attached? So we just want to kind of cut through that so that we can have a little more visibility, okay? Now, if you were to like Google this, you know, and watch a professional chef, they're going to be a lot better at this than I am. I've only, I don't know, broken down a handful of chickens in my day. And I don't do it as often as I used to, but this is more of like your everyday chicken fabrication, okay? So now we have this bigger separation here. This skin, I'm going to remove because I find it obnoxious and it gets in the way. So this side has a skin, this side I'm cutting the skin away from. All right, so this skin, you don't really want to keep it for anything. There's a lot of fat in the skin, and that's not really gonna add any flavor to chicken stock. So this is the kind of like scraps pile. The carcass, we can use for making a chicken stock, but the skin isn't gonna add any value, so we can just get rid of that. So again, cutting through the skin to kind of open up and give us a little better view, a better angle, okay, of what we have going on. Always sharpen your knives before you get started. I already did that. So now we have this chicken cavity, right? This is the cavity. Sometimes when you buy a chicken, you'll have this little package of the giblets. Usually there's like the heart, lungs, kidney, and that will be inside there. You can eat them. We usually cook them and give them to the dogs. Sometimes the neck is in there as well. You don't want to give the neck to the dogs because it can be bad for their intestines. They can choke on it and whatnot. So, all right, all this kind of stuff I'm going to remove from the chicken cavity as well. I just want to make sure it's still going. Okay. So from here, we're first going to separate. This is the leg, right? So we're going to separate the leg from the body, just cutting through. And then you can hear, so what I'm going to do is pop out this joint. So pop that joint out, and that's where we want to cut along, okay? And then just down through like this, making sure that you keep as much meat intact as you can. You can really feel in here. So if you do this at home, I really want you to like get in there and feel around. So cutting the thigh away from the body, okay? Seeing this bone, cutting that away, making sure that we get all of this apart from it, okay? This skin, sometimes you can move it away. And then I want you to feel here as well if you're doing this at home, because this is that joint. So it's, I don't know if you can see this on the video, but the joint was right here. So you want to cut around and through there, okay? So you're cutting through the joint socket, right? So scooping it around, and then feeling, so really like using your fingers to feel through the chicken, okay? And just working nice and slowly, like don't rush this. I don't want a hack job, right? So you're just taking your time to separate the thigh from the chicken. I mean, from the, like the cavity, right? So you can, if you have a little bone bit, like I didn't do a very good job of going around the joint, so I'm gonna cut that away. So now this is the joint that I was talking about. So you really wanna feel in there and cut that away from it. All right, so now we have a chicken thigh, and then we have this, the drumstick, right? So that's the leg. So what you wanna do is separate the leg from the thigh. So you can see there's this fat line right here. That's the line that we're interested in cutting around. So you find that fat line, and then you can also pop out this joint too, because there's another joint here. So you can see there's a fat line here, and then on the inside, there's another fat line. And then, so kind of just cut where the fat is, feel for the joint, right? So really like take your fingers, kind of feel around. You can feel where it goes, right? What a joint does, it moves. Find the fat line, take your knife, go around the joint, and then just cut down and through, okay? So see how I found that joint and I just went right through it. If you cut through the bone, you can actually tell it'll be red because the blood circulates through the bones. So now this is a chicken thigh. It's bone in, skin on. That's where you're gonna get the most flavor. Anytime you have skin and bones, you're going to have more flavor in your meat. So everybody always buys these chicken, you know, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They have literally no flavor, especially if it's like a mass-produced chicken. This is a free-range, organic, super happy, healthy chicken. It's gonna have more flavor because it was given longer to sort of develop, whereas these chickens that are grown so quickly, they don't have a lot of flavor, so they actually inject them with like juiciness and flavor so that they appear heartier than they are. But again, that skin and bones is really going to give your food a lot of flavor. So if I'm fabricating my own chicken, I'm going to leave skin in, bone on all day long, okay? Skin on, bone in all day long. But it depends what it's used for as well. Like if I'm roasting this or grilling this is a lot easier. If I'm cutting it up for like a soup or something, of course I want to remove the bone, okay? So this is a chicken thigh, and then here's your chicken leg, drumstick, what have you, right? Skin on again. I'm gonna put that in the bin. And then we move to the second side. So again, I like to cut the skin away because I find that I can just like see a little bit better what I'm doing, right? So you can kind of feel around. We're going to pop out that socket. You can hear that pop, right? So finding that joint, I'm just gonna remove this from the cavity just because it'll be easier because I feel like you guys can't see very well right now. Okay, so we're moving that bird out of the way. So I'm gonna move that. So now, there, this will be better, you'll be able to see. So I'm going to pop this bone out of the socket, right? So it's right here. You can see that socket. So that's what I'm going to go around. I wanna cut through that, okay? So that pops out. And then we're going to cut along here, try not to lose any meat because that's the good stuff. Okay, so cutting through, cutting along the cavity of the chicken, and then cutting down. Now this bit we're going to save. There's a little bit of meat on there, not that much. There's a tiny bit. You can either cook this down, give it to your dogs. You could pick off the remaining meat. Like see, there's just a tiny little bit there. You want to make sure that you get this, right there. That's called the oyster. That's a really, really good tender part of meat. So you wanna make sure you don't hack through the oyster. You wanna go around that little bit right there. So see how I don't have anything remaining? That's good. So, or if you're going to make a stock, you just have a little bit more meat that's gonna add a little bit more flavor. Okay, so we're gonna put that in there. So again, so there's that fat line on the front. There's a fat line on the back too. So it runs right here, right there. Okay, so that's where we're going to cut around. So you can cut right in that line to open it up, and then you can pop the socket again. Okay, and then feel, right? If you're doing this for the first time, I really want you to take your fingers and feel through the chicken. All right, and then cut through. Here we have our chicken leg or drumstick, and here we have a chicken thigh. Now, if I wanted to remove the skin from the chicken thigh, you can just take your knife, slide it under to separate the skin, and kind of peels off, right, like that. So if you wanted to do skin off, this is how you would do it. Again, the skin and the bones add a lot of flavor though. Okay, so this is a skinless chicken thigh, and there's that chicken bone. The best way to get that out is just to run your knife tip. So this is why a boning knife's really good, because you have a really nice ability to control where your knife is going. And you're kind of just going to slide your knife under to pop this out, okay? And then just along. All right, and that's the bone. This bone we can use for stock, so I'm going to save that. Okay, and this is now your boneless, skinless chicken thigh. Right, so it started like this, finishes like this. Cool. Okay, so now we have the rest of this chicken here. Again, the cavity of the chicken, we have the wings and the breast left. I'm gonna remove the wings next. So same thing, there's a little bit of skin right there. So I'm gonna pull that, kind of cut that skin away so I can see in here. And then I'm going to feel where the joint is. Okay, so really get your hands in there, feel around, and you're going to pop that out. Oh man, it doesn't want to pop. Okay, there we go. Raw chickens make me itch like crazy, so I don't know what that means. So remove that skin and pop that joint, all right? So you can go round and through, cut that off, all right. Now, this is a chicken wing. This is the wing tip. You don't need the wing tips. Nobody eat those. They don't really have anything. You can throw them in your stock. So find that joint and you can really pop it. I wish you guys could hear that. It's a great sound. And then just cut through, okay? So wing tip we'll use for stock. And then this is your chicken wing, right? So this is what you would use if you can save these and fry them for chicken wings. And then we'll do it on the other side. So again, I like to cut through a little bit of that skin. I cut through right there because I just find it helps me be able to like see it better. That popped better. And then just cut through that socket, right? So if we leave these little bones attached, you can pop these bones out or you can leave them. Leaving them attached to the breast is called a Frenched breast. So it has like a little wing out. Again, wing tip, chicken wing. Let's just get rid of that tip. So cutting through, and then here's your chicken wing, okay? All right, so now all we have left is the chicken breast. I personally, again, I'm not a professional at fabricating chickens, but I like to remove the skin because all the skin, it just gets in the way, right? I like to be able to see a little bit better. So then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to feel for the bone that runs along here, and you're going to make a slice kind of along it to break open the skin, okay? So you just have this nice slice. And then what you're going to do is just gently carve the breast away from the bone. So you can start here running your knife along the bone, right? So really getting in there along the bone as close as you can. All right, along and through. You can cut down through the cavity a little bit if you need to. Okay, so it's separating a little bit like that, right? This is the bottom side. So what you can do is you can take your knife and run it along this as well. If you're cutting towards yourself, be very careful. Make sure you guys sharpen your knives, okay? So now I have this breast, it's separating away from the cavity, right? A great way to do this is just go slowly and kind of, so you can see I'm like peeling this really slowly back away so that I'm not working too quickly. I'm trying not to do a hack job of my chicken, right? Nice and slow, peeling it away, kind of working this along. You can feel the edge, and so that's what we're after, is just keeping this along and attached. Now, once we get down here, I'm going to cut away some of that skin, and then this is where it's all attached. So you kind of, there's a joint here that you can find and cut through, right? And we'll cut through that joint, and then your chicken breast pops up. Now, this is Frenched where this bone is still attached. And so if you were to actually serve a Frenched chicken breast, you would want to clean everything off of the bone to make it look really nice and appealing. It's going to be really gross if there's like this nasty bone and cartilage and everything kind of sticking off from it. I personally feel like that's a little extra. Like, I don't need to French the bone, right? But you can take your knife, kind of peel it all away. You wouldn't want this stuff to burn onto the bone as it's cooking, and then it sticks out from the breast like that. Other option, what I would usually do in this circumstance, cut it off, right? And now you have just a chicken breast. This little bit right here is the tenderloin. So you can just, the chicken tender. So you can pull that chicken tender off, okay? And then this is your remaining chicken breast. Skin on, if you guys wanted to do skin off, you just peel the skin. It kind of peels back pretty easily, right? You guys hear Beckett in the background? Okay, so now we have a classic chicken breast, yes? Okay, so then on this side, you do the same thing. You move slowly, you use your knife, right? Trust your knife. This is why you have to have a sharp knife to feel around. Now, there's always one side that's easier. For me, it was the first side I did. This side for me is always a little harder because I find the angle just like not as easy to do. So there's the breastbone. So you're going to round that breastbone, okay? Using your knife, you can grip up if that helps you have a little more control. And just going nice and slowly to peel. He's so cute. Not the chicken, my child. Okay, so you get up here. This is the wishbone right there. So you want to cut around the wishbone. Here, I'll cut it out for you guys so you can see. But I'm gonna get the breast away first. So I'm peeling this slowly away, okay? Cutting through, nice and slow, take your time. There's not like a prize for doing this the quickest, right? Okay, and then again, once you get to the bottom, you can keep that on the Frenched bone, or you can just cut through it. So I'm going to separate this out first through that socket. Come on, little nugget. Okay, there's the carcass. So this carcass is going to become a delicious chicken stock. So here's that bone. If it were to be Frenched, you would clean this away. I'm going to ditch this. So finding that joint, okay, and then just cutting through the joint socket. Okay, try not to cut through the bone itself, because then that's where you'll see the blood. Okay, so cut that away. And so then again, here we have our chicken breast. I'm going to pull off the chicken tender. So this is the chicken tender. Now, if you're cooking the chicken tenders, there is this tendon that runs through here, and that's not very delicious to eat. So the best way to do it is kind of like use your knife, scrape a little bit of the skin away, and then I take a paper towel to hold this, and I grip it, and you hold because it's too slippery, otherwise my hands are way too covered in chicken guts right now. So you take this little tendon, and you hold with your knife and you pull. I'll wash my hands and then I'll grab a paper towel and show you guys. I'm gonna take this skin off since I did on the other side. So you just can remove that gently. Yeah, don't cut away the meat. You don't wanna lose any meat. So the thing with fabricating your own chicken, yes, it takes time, but it's much more economical, especially if you make chicken stock from it, right? So if you're only buying chicken breasts, you're gonna spend a lot more money for those boneless, skinless chicken breasts, okay? If you do a chicken yourself and you use all of the bits of the chicken, you're saving a ton of money because you're not paying for the processing of the chicken, right? Like you're not paying for somebody else to have broken down the chicken, you're doing it yourself, and then you can make a chicken stock, which is way better. Okay, so if there's any like weird little skins, bone fragments or anything like that, you would wanna make sure that those are off, but here's your chicken breast, tender. Let me just, you can do this without getting anything gross. Okay, so I like to grab this with a paper towel, and then you can either use your knife or your hands. Oh, it's so slip. And then you pull it out. Come on. You can't get it. Okay, there we go. So there's that little, right? And then there's your detendoned tenderloin. I could do it for the other one too. So you can see it because it's right, see it's right there is the top of it. So that's what you want to grab. You can also use your knife to grab it out, and then you want to try to keep, you don't want to get rid of chicken, right? You don't want to lose any of that meat. So you really want to try. So that's why the knife kind of helps to keep the chicken, oh, super slip. Okay. Okay, so pulled it out, right? Okay, and then here's your chicken tender. All right, so that's how you fabricate a chicken from a non-professional chicken fabricator. You guys know I'm a pastry chef, but I have worked in plenty of restaurants where they've done this enough, and I feel like that's the best way to do it in terms of like learning, so that you really want to be able to like get your hands in, feel the joints, feel the bone, understand meat loss. Try to make sure that when you have this leftover carcass, you have barely any meat remaining on it, right? So that's why you go slow and you take your knife and you kind of carve gently along the sides. You feel the bones, you feel the sockets. You're not just like hacking your chicken to death, okay? I miss you, my ProStar babies, and I don't know, hopefully you all are doing well. Let me know if you have any questions, if you want to try this at home. I'd be happy to look at a video if you film it and give you a little critique. It's kind of hard to show all the parts, but at least if you try this at home, maybe take a picture of all the parts when you're done and send it to me so I can see it, okay? Bye, everybody. I'm not showing this yet. Wash my hands.